Hey guys, it's Mike, another NFT Guardians free-to-play video. We're going to jump into the Assassin's League here and see what we're going to do. I am heading out on vacation, so I'm actually going to do all of the continues today. And we're going to do one video start to finish. I won't have time to do this a second time, so my goal here is whatever I learn I can pass on to you so you can do better than me. But I have a couple ideas that I'm going to give a shot and see what happens, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out exactly what the best course of action was by the end of it. So you get 15 continues over the 5 days, and then I believe you can buy 5 additional continues. So I'm planning on doing all 20, put together the best high score I can, try to push our way up the rankings, get as many of these scrolls specifically, but also the tokens for Gruff's Forge are not going to be a bad thing either. If we happen to get to room 200, I doubt it. We'll get to the 150 there. I think on the free-to-play for the Full House event, we did beat room 180, but we also had over 30 continues. So we're going to have less than that doing this event just with the 20. I do like the way they set this up where you can do all of your continues right away. Just for perfect examples, what's going on with me. In 2 days, I won't even be here. So I can't do 5 continues over the next 5 days. I would miss the back end of this event completely. But I can do all 20 of them today and then get ready for my vacation and head to Greece. And that's my plan. So we're going to go through here and see what we can do to learn. The first thing I want to look at is your back row or your team on the bench is going to be gaining 50% of experience, which this is new. This was not what happened in the Full House event, so they will be moving up with you and getting, half that experience. So when you pull them off the bench, they're going to have some stuff going on. The other thing is the points with the Solace. Now, in the previous event, it seemed like the Terra Guardians got you more points, but they also seem to be a little more effective. So I'm not sure if there's extra damage points that they get or not, but I am going to try to be a little bit heavy on the Solace Guardians as we bring them into this account. So one thing to keep in mind on this account, or on this Assassin's League, is the boss summons Token, who reflects damage as part of his kit, and he just tanks up a bunch of damage up front. So having damage go behind Token and kill the boss is going to be a win, which I would think is the purpose of utilizing assassins. From what I understand, you do not have to kill Token to beat the boss. You just have to kill the boss. So once the boss is dead, Token will fall as well. So that's some of the stuff going on, and then he's going to be cleansing buffs and cleansing debuffs. Cleansing buffs and debuffs. So he cleanses all of our buffs and he cleanses all of their debuffs. So potentially the Conray with his poisons may not be as effective here. I was thinking he'd probably be another all-star here. But with his poisons being a debuff and natural laws cleansing all those poisons, it may not be quite as effective. But we're going to go in and build our team. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some event characters. I'm going to grab Zara here and Shauna. They're both assassins and they're both Solace. So that should help us out. And I think the assassin heavy strategy is going to be good. On my main account, I tried Ickham because he bypasses and goes to the furthest enemy to do attacks. So I thought that would be a big win, but then Token would start beating up my back line. So I think that I'm going to stick with Tuskrog as my tank. As a healer, I am going to grab Flix and bring Flix in for heals. And then we're going to grab Grizel. The only limitation we have is we have only a maximum of 2 legendary characters. So between Grizel, we get 1 other legendary, and that's it. So I haven't decided who my secondary legendary character is going to be. It's kind of between Atticus and Ashwin here. But I have heard that Bahram is going to do some work here. Also a Solace character. I'm going to bring in Durin. He is a Founder Guardian that I pulled from an idol on this account, completely free to play. But he's a $17 character, but he is an assassin, so that might work out pretty good there. We're going to bring in our Tuskrog. I'm trying to think here. Darizda could have some merit here. I think I am going to bring in Qatari as a AoE damage dealer and assassin. I'm going to bring in Grind for his survivability and it just tanking up damage. Alright, so I think I've got my team together. I'm going to bring in Atticus for AoE damage dealing. I've got my tank up front with Tuskrog and Grind for survivability, and Zombie Grind worked out pretty good last time on the boss when he'd pop back up and just take a little more damage. We're pretty Solace heavy with 4 characters of the Solace affinity with Grizel. One thing to keep in mind when you're putting this team together is you're going to be getting gear as you go. So if all of your team is utilizing the same pieces of gear, it's going to be a lot harder to build that many sets. So it is nice to separate. So here we have intelligence gear on both of these folks. We have strength gear on both of these folks. And it's going to be agility gear on everybody else. So I have 5 sets of agility gear. Now the reality is I'll probably only be running 2 or 3 of them at the same time. So I really only need to build 2 or 3 sets. Because you can move gear from person to person. So if I have one good set of strength gear, I'm probably not running Tuskrog with Grind. It would be Tuskrog or Grind. So if Tuskrog's out, then Grind comes in, he gets all that good gear. I probably will be running Flicks with Grizel, so that'd probably be, I need 2 sets of that, and ideally focusing specifically on getting HP on Flicks so her heals are more effective. But we're going to go with this team here and get started. If anything in this space, I don't really have time to go back and change the team up, but hopefully I can learn from this and tell you what did work and what didn't work and what I would do better next time. And that will be helpful in that space. Starting out, we want to get those the dungeon coins, because our goal is to get as much gear as early as possible. We should be able to defeat the first boss first try, and we're really hoping to defeat that second boss on the first try to get extra gear per continue. So we're going to go in here, we're going to switch up our lineup here because this is all messed up. I think we'll run with that. And right now, I'm not really too concerned about heals with Flicks, because every time we beat a level, we're going to level up and max out our health. So as long as everybody survives the level, we should be fine. We got our 2 times on down here. So these first battles should be super easy. Obviously, we're going to take some damage because we don't have any heals going on out there. But we start getting in. It looks like Grizel's following Atticus, so that works out good for our AoE damage, so that'll be perfect. We want to pay attention to that as we get gear. It'd be better to gear up Atticus to keep him in front as long as he's the AoE damage we're looking to get. I do want to take a close peek at Durin here as what he's doing. With his assassin ability, Atticus is just taking him out. Love it. Because he may or may not be the better assassin to have on the team. It might be better to bring in either Zara or Shauna. Probably Shauna would be my guess. And especially because you get the added Solace bonus of 2% as well. But we'll see how this goes. Atticus is just destroying people. His AoE ability is incredible as long as he doesn't overthrow the enemy. Part of the reason I brought Tuskrog in, because he brings his wolf with him, and the wolf is going to add an extra person to that front line to hold everybody up there so Atticus doesn't overthrow them. So we do have enough to buy 2 items. We're going to buy both of these, that is the uncommon gear, and leave the common gear there. And then from there we should be able to upgrade our team. Ideally on the assassins, we really want to get attack. But they do tend to be fairly squishy as well. I haven't even seen Durin. Look at him. Looks pretty cool. Look at Wolverine claws going on there. It's like him and Fievel's got some stuff in common. But we got that going on, and then we're going to grab Grizel and get her in attack boots. So that'll be pretty good. But ideally, you can build up the attack on your assassins. It'll do a lot of work for you. So this wouldn't be a bad piece if we had enough, but honestly, you probably want to stack these up a little bit to try to get tier 2 gear or epic or legendary gear when it's available. 2 rooms before the battle or the end. And we could probably utilize the same strategy we did in the previous one, where we save up our ultimate abilities to start the fight off on the right foot, as well as it's the first time, so we're not going to have the commander level up. But we can go ahead and turn off our abilities here so that, ooh, Atticus went super fast. All right, well, there you go. Turn off our abilities here to get through the boss wave. But we will hold on to that and utilize it prior to the next boss, assuming we beat this one, although I would be surprised if we didn't. All right, so we're going to get started on the boss fight here. Rowan is going to summon Token. He's going to come up here and tank up a bunch of damage. We got our AoE abilities going out there, getting some damage done there. Grizel's going to keep Atticus moving forward there. Durin kind of is looking like he's getting hung up on Token here, so he's probably not a good fit. We want somebody that goes behind Token and does damage directly to the boss. So he is not doing that for us. So that would be someone like a Qatari. I think Shauna does that. So there's a couple, dogs are going crazy over there. They're waiting for dinner. But there's a couple folks that will get that job done. So if this doesn't work out, I think we'll probably refresh this and go. My brother told me Bahram does some work in this space. So I'm kind of trying to see if he's going to do some damage. It looks like Token's down now. So it'll be interesting to see if Rowan will summon him again or if that's just a one-time thing. Rowan did take down Bahram. He's working. It looks like we should be able to get through this. So, yeah, down to 3%. So we did lose quite a few people, but that's okay. We're learning. And Atticus and Grizel made it through. So we're going to continue on. We're going to probably switch gears, take Durin out, and put in Shauna. So we took the gear off of Durin, put it onto Atticus, and then we got Shauna in there and Qatari. I think the AoE damage for Qatari, who also jumps behind enemies, is going to be a big win. We're going to grab this guy. If you get to a point where you're wondering what you should get, what I would probably recommend is looking at the overall power increase and saying, like, if I had to choose between these two pieces, I would grab this. The other thing to consider is who's using it and whether or not the stats benefit them. Like these boots here for Flicks, not really doing her any good. Like it will make her hit harder, but her heals is why she's there, and we need HP boots. Now, to be fair, we will never see HP boots in here. The entire time last time, they were always attack boots. So that's something to keep in mind. So for those characters such as Flicks, it might make more sense to bring in Aquirus because attack boots will help her with her healing. So that might have been a mistake right out of the gate. But we are going to grab the old wand. We do have enough to buy those boots. So we're going to grab those boots and we are good to go. So we're going to go into the party. We're going to add that on there and then keep on keeping on. So it's probably a little too early to tell, but this is the 5th room between, and that's where a lot of struggles were taking place in the previous event. So we'll see if that continues to be the case here, where this room is just a little bit harder. But so far it hasn't really been, but I wouldn't really expect it to be just because we're only on the 2nd wave. But it could progressively get a little harder, which is part of the reason I brought Qatari in there, because she's got the assassin piece plus the AoE damage piece. I think that she could be a rock star in this event. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on her and see how she does. We got another piece of intelligence gear. We're really looking for agility gear because all of our assassins and Atticus are all utilizing that gear. So that'd be huge. We are into room 17, so we're going to go ahead and use this Order of Solace. And then we're going to put that piece of gear on our champion. And then we will stack up our abilities going into the boss fight to see if we have a good chance of getting through it. Did want to bring you in here. They did change this now where you can turn off your ability prior to the fight. So I probably could have done that in the last room where Atticus uses ability right away. So that's actually a really big win because I ran into that a couple times previously where it was like, oh, I really want to turn this off, but you just can't get to it fast enough. So we are going to the boss fight. I think we got most of our abilities stacked up. We're into the 2nd boss fight. We are underpowered by about 24,000, so that's probably going to show us we're not going to make it. And we did lose half of our team already, so if we were to continue, we don't have a lot of our team left. But we're going to see how we do here. We got Qatari back here doing a lot of damage behind the two of them. Shauna up here, I would like to see her. She died. I'd like to see her come back and hit the boss instead of Token, because I think Token's going to be tanking up a lot of damage, and I think that's basically the strategy for this boss, is getting behind Token to do damage directly to the boss. And again, I have heard that you can kill the boss without killing Token. And once the boss is dead, Token falls. So if you can get damage to the boss directly, that is the way to go. But it's not looking good for us here. We still got 77%, and all we have is Grizel. She does have kind of a stealth ability where she'll sneak behind, and she's just going to die. That's pretty much what we're going to do here. So somehow she's holding on to something. I don't know. So we are going to continue. We'll roll through the abilities of, who do we have left? We got Flix and we've got Zara. All right, so we'll see. Now, these folks have been on the bench the entire time, but they are on level 12, and that's due to the 50% of experience that they gain as we battle. So we'll go through this, and then I'll bring you back in when we get back to this boss again with all of our players after resetting with some new gear. So we were able to pick up a couple decent pieces of gear. We've got a little bit of gear going on Atticus and Qatari now. Still haven't gotten any gear for Tuskgrog, but I think we have a full set of gear here on Grizel. But it's all just uncommon 1 or 2 star tier 1 gear, so it's nothing super exciting. We're going to turn our abilities back on. We're going to go to fight, and we're going to hopefully have most of our abilities stacked up. So we're going to go straight behind the enemy there with Shauna going to town there. She's doing some damage. That is awesome. That's exactly what we want from this. And then we have Qatari coming back there to join her. Now, Qatari does extra damage when she's behind an enemy, which is pretty cool. And as long as she keeps cycling through her abilities, her phantoms go behind the enemy. But that is something that unlocks, I think, on level 40. So a lot of the kits right now are pretty weak because not everything that's available in their kit is unlocked. So we have a little bit of work to do by leveling up. It looks like we are probably not going to beat this on this continue. Which is pretty unfortunate. So we're at 76% here. Total power 91 to 98. So we're still about 7. I think last time we were about 20,000 short. So we picked up about 15,000, but we're still pretty short here. So we will. We do have a full secondary team. We'll throw in there, see if they do any work. It is kind of nice that they've been getting experience along the way. All right, got that secondary team all outfitted, ready to go. So hopefully we can do some damage here. It looks like Token came in with full health. I don't know how far down he was. He might summon fresh every time, which is probably what's going on there. So if you don't kill Token, my guess is actually if you don't kill the boss, he'll have the ability to summon him at the beginning of the next battle, even if you kill him. So that's kind of unfortunate. But we're doing a little bit of damage here, so that's kind of good to keep in mind, that we're doing maybe 10% damage or so on the boss. Trying to see if we could take a peek at damage here. Grind. Barham's actually doing the most damage out of this crew. So we should take a closer peek at that with some of the other assassins and whatnot, and make sure that the people doing the most damage have our best gear. But we'll go ahead, use another continue, get back at it, get some more gear, get some more level ups, and see if we can do it next time. Alright, so we are back onto the boss. We've increased our power by about 15,000 again. Now we overpower the boss by 8,000. So we're going to go ahead with this and see. We got our abilities mostly stacked up with the exception of Tuskgrog here, but he should have his ability shortly. And we hopefully can get our damage down. I'm thinking 40-30% minimum would be what we need for our secondary team to have a chance. So hopefully we can keep doing damage here. Shauna's hanging in there for a little bit, but she is down now. Qatari could definitely use her ability again, would be awesome. But again, as you level the champions up, they gain all of the skills that they would at those levels. And so at this early level, like, they're just not super functional yet, which is kind of unfortunate because this is kind of when we need them to rally the most. But as we get better gear, the gear increases like we saw in the Full House event are probably going to be substantial. So when those do take place, we should be in a good spot there. Atticus is doing some work there. So we're getting kind of into that spot where maybe that secondary team might have some hope. So we're looking pretty good here. If we could get some crits out of Atticus, although now he's gone. If Grizel could get back to her ability, although her ability is basically stacking up somebody else's ability, so that's not what we need. We need her to do, that's the move that we need her to do right there, and she actually killed him. That was crazy. So I think Atticus's mind got triggered. I'm gonna have to watch that one back. I cannot believe we beat that. I thought for sure we were gonna have to bring the secondary team in there, but we got through it on the second continue, so that's awesome. We're gonna go ahead and press on with the account and the secondary team, see how far we can get, and then get some more gear and move forward. All right, so we are on into the boss fight, room 30 here. As far as who's on my team, everybody is alive, or everybody that is alive is on the team. So I don't have a backup after this. That we're still on that third continue. So I don't think we have a lot of hope in getting through here, so I'm not going to utilize this, and we're 30,000 points down. We did get a couple pieces of epic gear, so that's a good start on the account. But we're going to go ahead and get this engaged and hit go and see how we do. My guess is we're probably going to go down a pretty big blaze of glory. Hopefully we can get him down to about half health or so. That'll be kind of close enough that we have a good chance next time with all of our key players. But I did want to take a peek and see on damage front who's doing the damage. So here we have Zara is doing damage here, looking pretty good. And now she's down and out. So Grind's doing his thing. He's tanking it up. Grizel's already down. And I think Grizel could be kind of sneaky good here too because of that practically an assassin ability that she has. So Grind did pop back up, so we have gotten his revive going. So after 9 seconds he pops back up. So apparently I was wrong. Maybe it's level 10 or 20 that he unlocks that ability. But I didn't even see how close we got. I don't think we got very close. So we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll go in with another continue. I'll probably skip ahead a few continues and bring you back in once we're further on and see what we've learned. Alright, so we are back onto the boss fight. I think this is our third time on room 30. So we've been struggling a little bit here, have gotten some gear stacked up. We do outpace them by about 40,000 power now. We do have our Order of Solace going on, which makes us invincible for a little bit, stacked up our abilities, so hopefully we can get through them here. But there's just something missing in this team, that X factor that does a lot of damage and gets through them. So I'm not exactly sure. It might just be we don't have the character. The core ones are a struggle. We are taking some pretty good health off right now, but Grizel can sneak behind him and put fear on Token, and if he comes back and hits these bombs, like it does quite a bit of damage. So that is pretty helpful there. I think on one of them he actually stepped back and hit this bomb somehow, and I'm not entirely sure if maybe Token got back there and it does area damage, but it actually looks like we're going to get him this time. So we've got Grizel and Atticus. We have 6% left, so we have the whole team on the backup side, so I think we're going to get through it. Ideally we keep Atticus alive though, so that he can gain some experience in the next room. So there you go. So Token was still alive when I did kill the boss. So that is something to keep in mind. You do not need to kill Token. You can just go straight back, kill the boss, Rowan, and then you're moving on. So we are into room 31 finally. We'll keep pressing on. Hopefully we start getting some legendary gear or even some tier 2 gear, epic or otherwise, but something that'll start to get some gains on the account where we can start to see some serious progress. I remember that from the previous event. That's kind of how it worked out, where it was just all of a sudden you started getting gear that made a substantial difference and it really picked your team up. The struggle here is I need 2 or 3 sets of agility gear to really be effective. So unfortunately it'll take me a little bit, but I'm gonna move my gear over to the other Guardians and we're gonna press on and get some new gear on the account. All right, so I just found this, which is kind of something I was talking about in the previous event. Inventory right here, you can come in and you can salvage the gear that you're no longer using, and that's going to give you dungeon coins. So if you come back and you salvage all these pieces that are no longer in use for your team, that's going to be a big win. And I'm going to keep a couple of those pieces in case I have to run 3 agility sets. But that's 26 dungeon coins that can go through to purchasing another piece of gear at a later point in time. Obviously these are pretty garbage pieces, so theoretically that'll get bigger as the pieces get better, but that might be something to keep an eye on as you're going through these levels. It might get you just over enough to get that piece of gear that's going to be a big benefit to your account. So I just saw that just now. We had to go ahead and continue again. We did get onto the boss in room 40, but we're unable to beat him. We didn't have anybody to back us up either. So the waves so far have been super easy, blazing through them pretty well. I think the AoE damage from Atticus as well as the AoE damage from Qatari, it's making light work of all of it. That being said, in the boss fight, I do feel like something's lacking. My best guess, I mean, I'm not even running a healer right now, so that definitely would help us out. But I'm waiting until I can get some gear that actually puts some HP on Flix, because currently her HP is such garbage that I don't think it's really helping anyway when you're healing by a couple hundred points. So I feel like we could do better as soon as we do get some of that better gear. Hindsight, seeing how you cannot get HP boots in the arsenal or anywhere, I think Aquarius is a better fit. I think she overall is just going to be a better healer, because everything's going to be based on attack, plus she's going to do a little more damage, plus her invincibility. I'm looking at all this. This piece here is going to be the best weapon we have, but I think we can do better. We can buy two, so we got, here you go. So that's a weapon worth getting there. That's a huge upgrade. And then this is an upgrade for this weapon as well, and we can get both of them. So we're going to grab both of those guys to press the account along a little bit here. But yeah, I do feel like Aquarius would be a much better choice in this than Flix, specifically for that reason about not being able to get HP boots. Which is kind of silly, but you know, it makes a big difference, because that HP is what all her heals are based on, and if her heals are too soft to do any good, I don't know why she's there. So that is something to keep in mind. And I think the added perks of Aquarius kind of come into play a little bit as far as survivability. So it does seem to me that we're burning through continues a little bit faster this time around. Had to use one on level 20, had to use I think 2 or 3 on level 30, and assuming we don't beat this time around, we're going to be using 2 on level 40. So hopefully we can press on to the point where we're getting gear that makes a big difference, or we can make it through some of these levels first try. Alright, so we're back at it again, on to room 40, got all of our abilities stacked up, except for Tuskarog's here, which is kind of interesting. But I did notice when you click on this guy here, in fact, you probably could do it before, with NFT's Guardians, you get an added attack bonus. So if you have one player, you get 5%. So if you had 5, you get 35% extra attack and HP, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so I don't know, you know, what we have to do to get that. I'm trying to think of Umbris on the team. I think Duran is probably the only one that I can think of that we have on our team. But Atticus is doing a substantial amount of damage here. Frankly, the assassins just don't stay alive very long. I do feel like by bringing in Flix, once I do get some HP gear, it'll keep everybody alive a little bit longer. But I have been neglecting to mention JD this entire time, just because she's not a Core 1 champion. But if you happen to have picked up JD during the event, she would be amazing here. Because your assassins come up here, she would put, I guess she'll go with the person with the lowest HP now, not the furthest most person, but the heals that she does are going to probably do a lot of work for you. I think we got close enough that we should be able to get this done if we put all of the gear that we have on this remaining team. Alright, we got them all outfitted with gear and in a lineup that makes sense. We're going to go for it and see how we do here. We only need 16% damage, so hopefully there we go. Duran's coming in with some ability there. Brings down to 11%. Looking pretty good. Grind's doing his thing, keeping everybody off. 7%. Duran, or Zara's already down. Duran's still working at it. We're at 4%. I think we're gonna get there. So that's a cool win. So I think we used 1 continue, maybe 2 on this boss. And oh come on, somebody's got to hit him. He's got 0% health. So Var has a kind of an AoE multi-target ability. There he goes. So hopefully he hits him and kills him. There it goes. It's like, man, we just need to tap him. So that was pretty unfortunate. So if you think about what Token's doing there by tanking up all that damage, it really is pretty impressive. And he is taking a lot of things away from the boss there. If you could get a lot of AoE damage, it could be beneficial. But having that damage come in behind Token, and I think even a Durizda with linear assault might be a good fit in this space. just because she'll shoot through Token onto the boss, depending she's in line to do that. So that's just something to keep in mind. So we've rolled through a few more continues, still on room 50. I am trying to bring Flix in instead of Qatari. I think Qatari is a little bit squishy. She tends to die early, and what I'm noticing is people that get stuck behind Token, the area damage coming from the boss is significant. So you either want to be back here where that area damage isn't really hitting you, or you want to be behind the boss, but you definitely don't want to be in no man's land, and Qatari ends up there all the time. So I do think Flix doing some heals, just trying to keep people topped off, is going to help out. I don't know if Shauna is the right choice. Maybe Zara would be a better choice for the main team on this particular go, but I think Shauna does hit really hard, so I feel like that's probably a pretty good fit. And then if we can get, I think probably within about 20 to 25% is about what we're capable of taking care of with the secondary team. But we've probably already used 2 or 3 continues on this boss, and it looks like we're going to be using a 4th because I don't think it's happening. So I think that there's definitely a better strategy to be had when it comes to the boss fight. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going wrong here. I think somehow getting damage back here and having it stack up on him is going to be a big deal. So that could be poisons before he cleanses them. It could be something like Conray was doing some awesome damage before. It could be something around stacking up Umbrous allies to get extra attack. But where I'm at right now is I pretty much just need better gear. I've been starting to get a couple pieces of tier 2 legendary gear, which has moved the account along pretty well. But I still have quite a ways to go. So I think hopefully this time around we should be able to get it and then press on and start maybe even getting some tier 3 gear. All right, so we're back on the boss. We just beat him. I was like, oh, we're actually going to do it. I thought we weren't going to be able to do it. So we got it done. So we're moving on to level 51. Should be able to press on to boss level 60. I do think bringing Flix in instead of Qatari is helping my team stay alive longer. And do some damage, but what I really noticed there was the damage that Shauna did before she died was significantly higher than last time. So I think by trying to keep her a little more survivable, that's going to be a big win on trying to get damage on the boss before she dies. All right, so we have 3 continues left, and then I can purchase 5 more. So a total of 8, and we've beaten room 50. We've gotten to room 60, but we haven't beaten it. If we look at the rankings in here, we're not doing terribly, but I can't imagine all these people are really pressing on with all of their account. I was going to take a peek. Priel seems to be a pretty common person. I'm trying to remember who this is. But Atticus, Oxalis, that seems like an interesting choice. There's a lot of RNG in Oxalis's kit, but Barum's in there, Darizda, Aquirus. Aloria, I think Aloria with Atticus could be a big win because Aloria will press all the enemies through the bombs, the mines that he lays down. So that could be a pretty good combination of things. It won't work on the boss, but it probably will work on Token, I believe. So this guy's got Morax, he's got Salve, also using Zara. I always get her and Shauna confused, but Zara. He's got Flix, Ferulia, and Aquirus. That's a lot of healing going on there. Basically, they're probably just trying to keep Salve alive. That's an interesting dynamic there. Just a bunch of healing trying to keep your assassin alive. That's probably not a bad idea. Clearly, it's working for him. He's doing way better than I am. So again, we've got Aloria. No Atticus, though. Morax with the stuns, Ferulia and Aquirus. Oh, and we got Anjadi. And the levels that they're on kind of tells me they're using. It's harder to tell now that you're getting the 50% of health on your backup team too. It's a lot more even. So it seems like all 10 of the players are being used fairly equally. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're running multiple healers trying to keep Salve alive, or Salve. But that's kind of interesting. So kind of looking at my strategy, here you go, is the Tabros. That's a Priel again. JD and Aquarius. They're bringing in Lixus and Darizda. So they're bringing in a couple Rangers to do some work for you. That's kind of interesting. So looking at my team composition, I think that I would probably forego either Shauna or Zara. And I think, I'm trying to remember which one does more damage. On the Astral Strike, I want to say Shauna has really hard hits, and that's why I was thinking for Eviscerate, dealing 250%, 280. So we're starting to get into this where you're leveling these up and getting a little more damage. We're also starting to get into gear that makes a difference. She died early, so I took all the gear off her. But some of the gear that I have is in this tier 2 legendary stuff. But I think that I definitely would sub out Flicks for Aquarius, and looking at that other strategy, maybe even running both of them. That could be interesting to have all three of the healers basically keeping your assassin alive. And then as far as an assassin goes, I like Qatari for her AoE ability, but that really just works on the waves. For the boss fight, it's not really that effective. I do like Shauna for the Solace, as well as the overall damage that she does. I'm trying to think here. Duran's the dirty pay to win, although he's on the free to play, so I did get him from an idol, so that's kind of nice. But I definitely would, I think Aquarius over Flicks or both would be a worthwhile thought. You could also bring in Ferulia instead of like Duran, instead of Zara, Barum. I don't see the damage coming from Barum that I was hoping would be there. I think extra AoE damage, probably bring in a Darizda with the linear assault and the ranger attacks. Potentially Lixus, I know she has some pieces to her kit. Or even potentially like a Corvus with his whirling whip that pulls the whip's Doro. But he does like a hurricane where it pulls everybody to the center. I think something like that could be beneficial with Atticus's mines and help you with AoE damage. But this is the team we've got, so we're going to get it outfitted and ready to go, and then we're going to press on and hopefully be able to beat room 60 this time. All right, we're back on to room 60 here. We're going to get it underway. Kind of plowing through. I mean, Shauna is really going to be a big part of my damage, and when she does her AoE ability, she zips back here and does quite a bit of damage. As you can see, her just ticking away health back here. But she's super squishy, and that's the struggle with her. Flick's got a good timely heal in there, but then she went down. So depending on how we do, we might actually run this back and see if we can get a little more damage out of her before she dies. But so far we're doing okay, kind of hanging in there. Token just dropped Tuskrog. That could be another piece, is potentially doing a 2 tank up front to keep Token busy so Atticus and Grizel can go to town on the boss. That could be fairly effective, but we're under 50%. But I think the reality is we're probably not going to get much better than this. So let's go ahead and we're going to restart this and see if Shauna can hang in there a little bit longer. And maybe we'll even switch our positions around a little bit and just kind of see if we can shake things up and do a little bit better this time around. Let's see here. We'll go down here, bring in Atticus. Let's try something like that and see. Our goal again is just to have Shauna make it through like 60, 50% health, something along those lines. And then that should be a significant win as far as keeping her alive just a little bit longer, doing extra damage. So I think she actually died faster this time around, which is unfortunate. But we'll see how this plays out. Try to get as much down as we can. Might run this back again, switch her back to the other side. Just something to get some damage going. Although Tuskrog looks like he might be holding on a little bit longer this time around. So maybe that'll be part of the trick. But you can see like Token just does not, I mean, it's tough to bring him down. So the strategy I think is going to be getting to the boss without defeating Token. Or getting AoE damage on both of them. But if we had a Darizda in here right now, linear assault would be going right through Token, hitting the boss. That would be a pretty big win right now. Because right now, both of these guys, until Grizel comes back over here or Atticus throws his bombs, neither one of them are actually hitting the boss. So we are down to 34%, which is probably pretty close, but I think we can do a little better. We're gonna aim to do a little better, and then I'll bring you back in when we're bringing in the second team. All right, so this run's doing a little better now. We got him down to 24%. I think our secondary team should be able to wrap that up. Atticus isn't quite done yet. Maybe he's got a little more in his tank. I'm down to 23. So we're going to move the gear over to that second team and see if we can bring them in and wrap this up. All right, so we're ready to rock and roll here. We're going to go for it. Again, we're looking at 23% is what we need. So hopefully we can get through here. We got Duran back there doing some work, down to 18%, 17. I think we should be able to get through this. 13, 11, 10. There we go. We are going to make it. So this is a big win as far as just getting into another level where we can get some new gear and keep on keeping on, because we're kind of getting a little stagnant there for a minute, and it's like every time you waste another continue on the same level, it is problematic. I might have spoke too soon. We might be not, there we go. I was going to say, we just need a little bit more, 2%. All right, we're on into room 70. We got through to the boss, or actually I know we died in the 5th room. For the first time, actually, we died in the 5th room. So, but we did get through to the boss this time. We did lose Shauna along the way. So we have Qatari in there. In fact, we're going to sub her out. Let's say, because she is definitely a wave killer. Let's grab, and we're going to put in Zara here, and then we'll take the gear off of Qatari and put it onto Zara. But hopefully that will help us get some damage in. I know without Shauna seemed like she was doing a significant amount of damage when she's in there. So hopefully we can get something comparable from Zara while she's going on. We got Flix dialed in. All of our abilities are stacked up except for Zara and Flix. I had to use her ability to get going in the last one to get everybody topped off with health or close. But it didn't really work out. So we're going to get this on its way. Hopefully we can see some progress. We are still getting tier 2 gear at this point. We are getting legendary pieces, like 10 star, 11 star legendary pieces, which has been helpful. But it's not exactly where it needs to be. We got to 80% before Zara went down. So that's probably not the best scenario here. We've got Token back here with Tuskrog. I think Zara actually knocked him back there, so I don't know if it's a benefit having him all the way back there or not. Seems like it'd be bad. So we're going to keep this going, but I don't think we're going to get below 50% here. So I'm pretty confident we're going to need to definitely be using another continue. We are also a man down because we lost Shauna in the 5th room. So even if we do get close, we don't have a full team second to bring this home. So I'm actually going to do a restart on this, and I'm going to take Zara out, and I'm going to replace Zara with Duran and just see if we do better. All right, we got him outfitted in. Again, we were at 55% in that last one, so we'll just see if this has any better play or better scenario here. Duran's all the way back here doing some work already, so that's pretty good. Still alive, which is still good. He's about to die. There, he's dead. All right, so he died at 85%. We'll see where we end up in this one. My guess is probably worse off. But I think Shauna in that same situation probably would have got more damage done. I don't know if she would have stayed alive longer or not, but she, I think, would do more damage, which I think would be definitely a benefit. But she didn't make it through the 5th room, so this time around she'll probably get it. But we're looking like it's probably 6 one way, half a dozen the other. Right around 55%. It looks like we're probably going to be right around 55% here. Maybe a slightly better. So maybe that's something to keep in mind if it does come down to Duran or Zara. Like Duran might just do a little bit more. He is Umbrus, so he does get that extra 5%. I think for the team actually when he's being used. So all right, we're back onto the boss fight. Got our ability stacked up. We did not get the commander benefit yet, so we're hoping that'll work out. But we'll get this underway here, and we got Shauna this time, so hopefully she can do some damage for us and actually get some life off of the boss before she dies. So she got down to 80 as well, and then she was done. So that was kind of unfortunate, but she seemed like she was doing damage a lot faster. She might have just also died faster. But we'll see if we can get down below probably below 30. I think we probably have to get in order to make this work. If not, we'll go ahead and reset and try again. Hopefully get a little more time out of Shauna. But we'll see. We'll see how it's going. It's not looking good so far. We're at 60%, and everybody's dead except for Atticus. So I think we're going to restart. We're going to try that again. We're going to give this a couple goes and see how good we can do. All right, we're back at the boss. This is our first purchase continue. I think it was 200 rubies, so we have 4 more, and it looks like they're going up by 100 rubies each time. The next one's 300. Back onto room 70. We do have all of our skills stacked up here. We are going to swap Qatari out for Grizel. I brought Flicks in to get everybody's health topped off. We do have our Solace ability here, so we're going to go ahead and take out Qatari, put in Grizel, and we're going to go for it. So hopefully between the Solace ability and the minor upgrades we saw on the account, hopefully we can see some work here. The best I could do on my first run was get about 50%. I'm hoping this time around I might be able to get a little more than that, just because of the added time I have for Shauna to do some work back here. So she's still alive at 75%, so that's actually pretty good. So this has potential hopefully to get us down 30 to 25%. If we can get down that low, there's a good chance that my secondary team might be able to come in and clean it up. So hopefully this event seems to be significantly harder than the full house event, and it could be that I have a lot of the wrong team, a lot of the wrong players. Somehow Token detonated those mines and it took off a substantial amount of health. So I kind of feel like Aloria with Atticus could be a big win in doing some major damage to the boss. But at 8%, we're going to get this done. I'm not sure what happened to Atticus. He's stuck inside Token? Where's he at? I don't even know. It says he's still alive somewhere. I don't know what happened there. That's kind of funny. But we're going to move all of our gear over to our secondary team and wrap this up. All right, so we're going to get him. We're going to move on and get to room 80 at the minimum. Hopefully we can get a special ability here. We can get behind him. There we go. Got Zara back there. We got Duran back there. Zero, and there he's dead. He's dead. We still have all 5 of our champions there, so that's pretty good. We'll press on into the next one. Won't revive anybody, just get some dungeon tokens, but hopefully we can start getting some tier 3 gear and seeing some bigger gains on the account. I remember that's when you started to see some of the 50 to 100,000 point gains when you got the right piece of gear. So hopefully we can see some of that and see some progress. But even from this point on, I have 4 more continues, and even if I could get 10 levels with each continue, I'm barely going to get to level 100. So I do think this is significantly harder than the previous event. That being said, though, we did have a lot more continues with the previous event, so that could be part of it too, or we had more time to accumulate resources, not necessarily time, but more opportunities to accumulate gear and stuff like that. But that last one reminded me of room 105 in the previous event, where I just felt like my gear was underpowered. I had basically capped everything out at legendary tier 2 10 star, and I just wasn't powerful enough. I had to wait for my entire team to level up. So I do think that the waves, this team that I have going on with Qatari and Atticus, are doing a great job in the waves getting through. But I do think on the boss, there's a lot to be desired. I'm not entirely sure what the best ways forward are with the boss, but I have some ideas. So I'm going to try those on my main account and just kind of see if they have any merit. But we'll see. So we are still on tier 2 gear. That is frustrating. I've got 2,500 dungeon coins. None of these pieces of gear benefit me. None of them. That's crazy. Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is. This is the better of the two. I'm not going to spend rubies for tier 2 gear. I have basically every piece of gear I need for my team to be maxed out. So this is pretty unfortunate. I'm kind of nervous I might get stuck here for a couple continues because I'm not getting better gear. So that is definitely unfortunate. But we'll press on, hopefully get through level 80. Not on this continue. Probably going to burn 2 continues here minimum, I would think, because I'm not getting tier 3 gear, but maybe I get lucky. I'm not even going to make it through this wave. This is the 5th room, though, and I don't have my whole team, so that all makes sense. But we'll keep on with the account and see what kind of progress we can make. We've got 4 more. I'm going to purchase 1, 2 for 3, then 4, and then 5. So we probably went through almost 2,000 rubies right there. But we got all of our ability to go forward in the rankings. We're only at 14,000. We got a long way to go. But we are in the top 100. But I would expect realistically we are going to fall out of this as time goes on, because people are going to kind of shake out their teams, kind of get better and better results. And so we'll kind of shimmy on down the list. But with 4 continues, we should be able to get a little bit higher here. So hopefully we can get maybe in the top 50 or so, but we will see. All right, we're on to our second to last continue, still on room 80. Got all of our people through. Shauna's died the last 2 times in the 5th room, in room 75. We do have all of our abilities pretty much stacked up here, so we're going to get going on this. Shauna is at half health, though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But we're going to push this on and hopefully get through this battle. Probably restart a few times. We got quite a bit of damage coming in there. That looks good. Shauna's still alive, still doing damage. She is killing it. Okay, maybe we have hope. We have hope. I will say I do think that we should be getting tier 3 gear in this room of 10. I think we honestly should have been getting tier 3 gear in the previous room. All right, so we are on into room 80 again. Last 2 times Shauna actually died in room 75, so it's been really unfortunate. I do think we should be getting tier 3 gear here. The problem is I'm sitting here, I've got a complete legendary set, tier 2 for Atticus, complete legendary for Grizel, complete for Shauna, complete for Qatari, she's not even in there, complete for Tuskrog, and complete for Flix. So I'm not going to get any pieces of gear short of maybe a couple stars that are going to benefit any of my players. And yet I can't beat it. So I'm going back and forth, literally just trying to level my characters up so they have enough to get through it, which is pretty unfortunate. And I think, honestly, it's kind of frustrating. I think that the gear should be kind of trickling in earlier than it is so that you can progress. I mean, using 2 or 3 continues on the same boss, it just feels really bad. Like, it feels really bad. The grind is real. This is for sure. The grind is rough on this one. We're going to get going on this, see if we can get some damage out of Shauna before she dies here. Hopefully get this down around 20% or so. I'd feel pretty comfortable moving in with the secondary team with 20% left over, but hopefully Shauna went down a little bit early. Might have to restart and give this a few tries to get it down that way. Yeah, so we didn't get the damage we were hoping for, so we're going to try this again. I'm going to get going on this. We got all of our abilities are stacked up. We got heals coming in strong. I do think Quirus in this space would be amazing, putting some invincibility around Shauna to let her do some work. I think potentially having Aloria pushing Tokton back into these mines. So when these mines detonate, even if they just hit Tokton, it would probably help get him down or get him closer to dead. But usually when they detonate, it also gets onto the boss. So I'm not entirely sure how that works out because he doesn't really move. So I'm not sure how he ends up on a mine. But it has happened a couple times, and it's usually takes off quite a bit of health. Here we're sitting at 63%. Probably not getting down to the 20. So we're going to pause that, restart it, see if we can switch stuff up and do a little better. I've tried a bunch of combinations, a bunch of things. I don't think it's happening. I took Atticus out. I put in 2 different assassins. Just trying anything and everything. I could not get the health below 50%. Which makes me pretty confident we're not going to beat it next time either, because I'm not going to get gear that's going to benefit me substantially, and I'm not going to get that much experience that's going to benefit me substantially. So unfortunately, it kind of just is what it is. I think we're probably stuck here, but we're going to give it a shot with our last continue and see where we can get. All right, we're back to room 80. This is our final shot at it. We did not get our what do you call it, commander skill. So we're fighting uphill battle. We got a couple levels. It's unfortunate, like here we're on level 79, 78. When you get to level 80, you get that added perk of a skill, whatever it is. I'm not sure whichever is being updated at that time, but it might be extra damage or whatever the case is. So that could be just enough to get us over the hump, but I'm pretty confident we're going down in a blaze of glory. We've got 3,900 dungeon tokens, which would do great to buy some gear if there was any gear that would benefit my account. So we're going to give this a shot. Let's turn these powers back on. We might try a couple different things if we get close, but we'll see how it all plays out. Shauna's down before 90%. That's very unfortunate. So we'll probably move her around and see if we can do a little better. All right, we're going to try it by delaying our abilities for a hot second, just see if that changes anything. I'm hoping that potentially it'll just change up how that all played out. It made it worse. Made it worse. She died earlier. So I will say, based on what I've done here, this composition is not good. I can tell you it's not good based on the fact that I have my gear maxed out and I cannot beat this boss. I can also tell you it's not good by how long this boss fight takes. If we need a lot more damage on the boss, and I think Token has some reflective damage in his kit I want to take a peek at and see exactly what we might be avoiding. But whatever we got going on here is not it. So I think there's pieces that make sense, but we don't have the whole puzzle here. So I think this is the best composition I've found. It's going to be utilizing two kind of back row assassins at the same time, so not all of the boss's attention is on one of them, and they tend to live a little bit longer. But I still don't know this is the right feel. So you got Shauna goes back there, Duran goes back there. Now the damage is being split up between the two of them. They're staying alive a little longer. I've got Grizel following Shauna, getting Shauna to her ability more frequently. So you can see the damage that we're doing is actually not too bad. We just lost Duran and we're down to 70-ish%. But Shauna's not long for the world. She's out. And now Grizel's probably going to be following Tuskrog. Now she's dead, so that's over, and now we have nobody doing damage on the boss. So that's pretty much how this is going to end. But that being said, I think we'll take a peek at what some of the successful teams have been doing and see if there's any updates there. And I do want to take a look at Token's kit, and then I'll come in with some final thoughts. All right, so this is all we got. I got all the best gear I have on all my people. We're going to see what happens here. Doubt we're going to go through 63%, especially because we didn't do it on the main team there. So I do think Grind has some merit here as far as just being able to pop up and take a beating. It looked like he was doing some pretty good damage there as well. Let's take a peek at that. Atticus is doing the lion's share. Barham's actually not doing too bad, but yeah, I mean, it just seems like we just can't get enough damage on them. So we're down to 27%. So I think that's what we got. That's about it. So this is our high score, 15,428. We're going to quit there, and I'm pretty confident that is, yeah, so we are at 0. So that's what we got. So if we go into the rankings, we made it in the number 82 spot. The sad part is I basically wasted 2,000 rubies because I don't think with the 5 continues that I purchased that I even progressed at all. I think I had 14.9 or something like that, so I got an extra like 500 points, but I didn't do any better as far as beating level 80. So that's kind of sad. And then the rewards that you get would be if I could complete room 80, I'd get 50 scrolls in those. So that's kind of unfortunate. But let's jump in here and take a quick peek at Token's skills, because I do recall that he has some sort of reflection of damage, and I think that might be something that would change the way that you want to attack him. So his ultimate defense, his passive reduces magic damage taken by 50%, so he's reducing magic damage. Active is generates a shield in front that lasts for 4 seconds. If physical damage is received, the physical absorbs 100% of it and deals true damage back to the enemy equal to the absorbed damage. So even though magic is reduced, it would be preferred because it's just going to do 50% less damage to him. Whereas physical damage will be reflected back onto the ally that gave it. Every 8 seconds, Token energizes his next basic attack, causing it to stun for 2 seconds. So So yeah, so magic damage might be a better way to go than the physical damage that I was running with. So that's something to consider in that space, just so you're not getting those reflections of damage, because that often is what kills my people. So that's kind of unfortunate. That being said, I could have sworn Flix killed herself hitting him, which apparently is not the case. But it's kind of weird. So that's what we got on that end. And then let's talk about some final thoughts. So as far as the team that I would build, I think Grizel is a good choice. She's a solace, so she's going to get the extra 2%. She's a great all-around champion. I do think I went way too heavy in the... I'm trying to think if I can actually look at my team or not. Well, that's unfortunate. It won't let me look at my team. So I did go very heavy into the Assassins. I thought the Assassins League was going to need a little more on the Assassin front. I don't think that it really requires that many. I would argue probably 2, maybe 3 maximum. And I think it depends. I think you could try Ashwin. I'd be curious to see how he would do here. It might be worthwhile to try Fievel or somebody that has some healing in their kit to keep themselves alive, make themselves a little more durable. That being said, the Atticus Quatari combo getting through the 5th room, especially if you didn't utilize your abilities in the room before, was super easy. So Atticus and Quatari together, I think, did a lot of work and did a really good job in that 5th room to get through it. Oxalis, to me, I've seen he was in a couple of those leading teams. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing that's going to be a benefit. And everything he does is so RNG. Like, you can't count on him for anything. That being said, as far as if you do have JD, I think JD as your legendary alongside Grizel would be an awesome fit. I do think there's merit in the multiple healers, because if you think about how much damage Token was doing and the boss was doing, especially to the long range folks like Atticus, it was hardly anything. So if you happen to have a double tank situation and a bunch of healers healing up an assassin or somebody that is doing the damage, it probably would be enough to get through it. I think I would probably focus on magic damage, so you might be looking at maybe a Morana for AoE magic damage. Also a Tala, she's got the 2-second stun similar to Tuskrog. Also magic damage. I probably would definitely move forward with Aquyrus, if not Aquyrus, Flix, and JD, or Ferulia. Also a Solace champion, so that could be good. I think Darizda would have been a good fit in the team. I would have gone with a Ranger in the back and maybe even 2. So you could have done Darizda and Atticus or Darizda and Lixus. Both of those folks from distance could be very beneficial. For me, I had Shauna, I had what's her name? Zara. I had Durin, I had Quatari, and Shauna. I think I already said that. I don't know. I feel like I had every assassin in the game in my team, and I think that was a bad move. That didn't play out well. Unfortunately, I thought I'd have options of moving stuff around. I do think also Aloria with Atticus could be a big win. That might definitely be worth something to try, especially if you did multiple healers like a Flix and Aquyrus, Aloria, and then Atticus, and then bringing in maybe a Shauna or I'm trying to think. Shauna really did a great amount of damage for me as far as when I could keep her alive. But with 2 healers in there, that might just do the trick. I do think a Quatari Atticus combo for specifically Wave 5 might be necessary to get through that, but if you were utilizing Darizda or Lixus or some other damage dealer, it may not be a big issue. But I do recall struggling in those rooms without AoE damage on the previous event. So that's what I got. I think all those ideas would definitely have merit. I can tell you the people that I chose, not the way to go. Learn from my mistakes is not the way to go. I would say definitely grab definitely grab a ranger or two. I think I would stick to 2, at maximum 3 assassins. And that would be if you're going to use Qatari specifically for the waves and you want to do 2 different assassins for the boss. That could be something that could pan out. I would be curious about Conray. I think the poisons, even though the boss cleanses, I think those poisons probably would stack up and move through pretty quickly. But as we go through the leaderboard, I didn't see a bunch of people using Conray. So that's kind of interesting that he might be cleansing those poisons faster than we could get them off. I'm not too familiar with this champion here. See, Bahram was in there too. I didn't feel like he was doing damage at all. But I think Aquirus was definitely a good choice. Apparently, Oxalis might be something to try. He's definitely being used. I don't necessarily see it. I do think potentially Grind could be a better fit than Tuskrog specifically for the boss. I think for waves, Tuskrog's going to be significantly better with the 2-second stun. But for the boss, just the amount of damage he can take is actually pretty good. So Token has to work on him for a long time. This team here kind of gets me going because I think you've got 3 healers going on, and then you have 1 assassin. Or 2. They brought in Zara. They would have been better off with Shauna, I'm pretty sure. My Zara was not doing as well as my Shauna, or even close. But I do feel like this challenge is definitely harder than the previous one. As you can see, your total scores here, I think before, I think we were in like 150,000 or 200,000. I mean, I don't remember how high they got, but they were definitely higher than this. I would expect this to move up over time as people kind of figure out better teams and move forward. Unfortunately for me, this is where the free-to-play stands. I don't have time to go back into it and try anything different. So hopefully you learned something there and you have something to take away on the Assassin's League. I did my best with the short time that I had. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and hanging out with me and taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you next time.